Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, Dwyer here. Welcome back to some more 25 Days of Go. Hope you're having a great holiday season. Now, today we're going to be looking over a proverb, and that proverb is telling us that we can play away if we are not sure where to play. When in doubt, Tenuki. Immediately, I want to say that this is not a good proverb to follow if you are in the middle of a life and death problem and you're not exactly certain how to live, or if you're in the middle of a life and death problem, you're not sure how to kill your opponent. These instances are probably where you do not want to play away, but in the opening and middle game, we can kind of get away with it. We're going to see some of that right now. Alright, so real quickly, let's take a look at a little something here. Black does not, in fact, get to play twice. Maybe something like this. Maybe something like this. And then let's approach low. Alright. And let's say our opponent pincers very, very tightly. Now, you might be thinking that, like, how do I want to respond to this? Because maybe you have, like, a really good understanding of what happens if, like, your opponent plays here, or maybe even here, or here. Like, you've got great second knowledge there, but maybe there's just, like, this one pincer that you're not really comfortable with. You just don't really know what you want to do. Well, you can, in fact, play away. That is something that you are entitled to do. Because let's say, for the sake of argument, that you play something like so. There, we played away. Our opponent then gets to follow up. Alright, sure. But that's Gote, so maybe we can, play another larger move here on the board. Make a framework for ourselves, because we know, unless our opponent plays yet another move back there, giving us Sente yet again, then we have the option of going back and still living back here. We can make that stone live. So in the beginning of the game, it's really, really difficult to actually kill one stone. You've seen the same thing happen with this. This kind of deal where maybe you approach and, Hane and back off, and then we go back and, play something else. We can do that because it's, kind of difficult to go back and actually kill these kind of things. So it might be okay if you're not really certain where to play. So you can study up a bit more about Joseki, figure out which one you really, really like to play. Then you can go ahead and play away in your games. Let's see, I think that can happen with just about any pincer. I mean, approach is high, we can do the same thing, because even after this, still tough to make it live, so it's not too bad of a result. It's not too bad of a result. Let's say non-approaching situation. Let's say we already approached. Let's say we already approached and something already on the board. How to handle this? Let's say we approach normally and we have a fairly modern Joseki here, huh? Let's go and split this way and do something like this. Let's say we played this Joseki. We're not really certain if we want to continue pressing out here right now. I mean, we could do so. There's obvious complications by doing so. Not really sure what we want to do here yet. This would be one of the instances where it would be completely fine to just go ahead and play elsewhere, because why not? We could do something like treat this as thickness and mind the proverb that we know, and play away from thickness right now. Something like this, maybe. That could be a reasonable idea. Could take our enclosure, because enclosures are always very, very nice. That's a reasonable idea. Might even be able to approach inside or outside on this one stone here. I mean, that'd be completely fine. That's not to say that there's no Aji here that our opponent can't take advantage of. But if we're not really sure how we want to play that out, we don't really want to get into a big fight right now, we're pretty much settled in our position, and we can just choose to be like, you know what, we're not going to keep doing that right now, we're settled, we're fine. Going to take maybe a nice big point on the board for ourselves, and then maybe later on, who knows, maybe later on we get some extra moves on the board, and then later on we might actually want to bring this out. We don't have to do it now. Nothing says that we have to do it right this very second. You can be patient, see what develops, and maybe do it later. Now, where this wonderful proverb would not be applied is somewhere like so. Let's say we're playing a nice little Joseki over here in the corner again. We decide to do something like this. You know, let's even go back and play here. Why not? Because apparently you can nowadays. Apparently you can. And our opponent applies a lot of pressure to us. We don't care. We're going to go and play elsewhere. Our opponent tries to come in and attack our base here because we never really followed that up. But we're going to have the bright idea to, you know, I don't really know what we want to do. We don't really want to know if we go over or under or what we want to do or the sequence is there. It's probably not a good idea to play away in this case because your entire left-hand side, or your entire group over here on the side, sorry, is under attack and getting destroyed. This is where not playing away when your house is on fire, that's where that comes into play. So you don't want to treat this proverb in every situation. You do have to be mindful of how damaging your opponent's last move was. We can play away from here, for example, because we still have a base and we're out and we're not surrounded. So we can, in fact, play away like so. We will not play away, on the other hand, if our opponent maybe follows that up, because we don't want a very severe attack occurring on this side of the board, where we don't really have a base anymore, not really sure where we're running to, all of those things. Now, the interesting thing about this proverb is that a lot of Joseki choices and even probes themselves kind of like go back to this fundamental idea, if you don't know where to play, that maybe you should play away. Because if we go back and look at something like the Orthodox, for example, ortho. Let's just grab an Orthodox example here. Then we play something like so. One thing that's quite common in this particular position is to attach and see what's going on. Now, your opponent might respond and say, ooh, I might want to, you know, play nice and strong, or might even play to Hane. But neither of these responses have to be played just yet. If you're not sure if you want to live back in the corner right now, or if you should keep playing elsewhere, then you can simply play away, go back to doing whatever it was you were doing, and play that later if you get the option to. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But we know that we don't have to do so right now, and we can continue playing elsewhere, minding our own business. Even something as simple as even something as simple as the low Chinese Joseki, for example. If you're not sure how you want to approach this, we have a bunch of ways to do so now, kind of because we can play away if we're not really sure what we want to do there. I mean, these have all been tried in the past. We know that we don't want to do that one. But how we get little moves like this, well, we can just like play away and leave that alone for now. If we're not sure what we want to do, and the enclosure is actually a pretty strong response. Forces your opponent to think about, you know, do you want to continue trying to invest in the bottom? And even more modern, playing completely away from the 3-4 entirely and approaching the upper right, choosing to deal with any kind of growth that we see here later on. So we do see this an awful lot, and you should definitely be aware of it in your own games. The most troubling thing that's going to be reoccurring in your game when you try to like implement this particular proverb is you might misjudge the value of the move that you've played elsewhere, and the follow-up or not playing in the area you're playing away from, maybe you realize that's just too much. But that in of itself is also a very, very, very valid learning example that you can definitely use to improve your games. Once you see, oh, I definitely can't play away from there. I really need to study this and find out a good move to play in this situation, because by playing away, it's just way too large. I mean, that's good to know too. That is really good to know as well. So if you experiment with this, maybe try playing away every once in a while when you're not really sure what's going on the board. See where that leads you. See where that leads you. I take full responsibility for your losses in the event that does not go well. So until tomorrow, hope you're all having a great holiday season, and I'll see you all then. Take care, everyone.